Welcome to another edition of the DHN Crypto Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Wade Teamer. Seems like Michigan wanted to cosplay as Las Vegas today, which is why I have gotten rid of the sleeves altogether. All right? It's hot. Very hot. But guys, listen. These shows are usually packed. I try to pack as much info as I can. But today, oh man, I got something special for you. We're going to start with Stellar. They have just collaborated with a fintech platform by the name of Slash. Now, Slash has FDIC backing, but the kicker is not the FDIC backing. It's the bank that provides the FDIC backing and a particular large-scale payment system that they are a part of that recently launched and is also ISO compliant. Oh, I can't wait to break that down to you guys. And Crypto Week hit a bit of a snag, but don't worry. Our commander-in-chief made sure that these bills will be passed. As a matter of fact, I'm filming slightly before noon where the vote is supposed to take place. I'll be checking my phone for live updates as we go through the show. So make sure you stick around because the moment we get word about these bills, we're going to talk about it here on the show. Now, around the rest of the world, guys, we also got to dig back into the Flare network. They are making a significant push into the DeFi space, and they now have a major player in the form of Spark DEX that is looking to make history on the Flare network. And then we got to get back into a little bit of gaming, guys. I came across an excellent article courtesy of Juice Gaming that covers Immutable X's trajectory after defeating the SEC in March of this year. As it stands right now, Immutable X is the only gaming token with SEC clarity, giving them the go-ahead to run in the United States. Now, to the point of these highly anticipated crypto bills, Robbie Ferguson, CEO, creator of Immutable, pointed out that the Clarity Act actually paves the way for gaming tokens. Oh, I can't wait to break it down to you guys. And then at the end, I got a bit of an operational segment, an educational segment. I have collected 20 of the best crypto news outlets. These are the exact same outlets that I use on a regular basis, and I'm going to share them all with you. The rate of information in the crypto space moves so quickly. I can't wait to share my sources with all of you. So if you want to support the channel, don't forget to head over to bio.site/DHN crypto, guys. As you can see here, it's a nice little one pager. This is where you can get access to all of our educational materials. I am actually discounting the educational materials for a limited time, 50% off. Blockmaster, the only guide you'll ever need on blockchain, DeFi, tokenization, the new financial system master sheet. This is going to be very critical going forward because now we know this is no longer theory. This is a process and we're all part of the plan. And then you got DHN 100, simply a collection of utility-driven networks to point you in the right direction when you begin to research assets. Again, you can support the channel at bio.site/DHN crypto. With that, let's get into the show, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the snag in Crypto Week is political theater, baby. We should expect a back and forth. But late last evening, our commander-in-chief, Donald Trump, made a deal with Republicans who were pushing back against the bill. And he is assuring us that by noon, no later than 12:30 today, all three of these bills will be passed. I was interested in the details. I always am. I didn't think I'd get this deep into politics, but Trump brought me in. All right. I had a feeling the more he talked about crypto, the more I would get political. All right. I'm not going to go ahead and say that, I'm full Republican, because to be quite honest with you, I voted for Kamala. It was a family decision. Okay. It really was. I voted Democrat. But I knew the entire time he was going to win. I did. All right. Don't hold that against me. But it says after a short discussion, They all have agreed to vote tomorrow morning in favor of the rule. So they're probably sitting down there in the White House now, or in DC now, getting ready to make this happen. That's why we see the market in the green. But Trump said Speaker of the House Mike Johnson was at the meeting via telephone and looks forward to taking the vote as early as possible. Says he did not go into specifics about the deal. So Trump really wants to get this pushed through. And part of the pushback coming from both sides of the aisle has to do with his influence in the crypto space. The block.co reported that Trump, his crypto wealth, guys, exceeds $600 million. This means that there is a financial incentive for him to get these bills passed. A significant financial incentive. So you can also look at it like this. The people who are opposing these bills are fearful that this will give Donald Trump way too much power. It would give the president of the United States way too much power. I would think that that's something that we want to have. You know, with him being the commander in chief and all, he should have as much power as he can get his hands on. But I understand the pushback. I understand the opposition's point of view in the sense that they believe he will be able to then use his crypto wealth in a malicious fashion. That I understand. They're probably basing that on his historical track record with his businesses. I dig that. To that point, I'm pretty sure this man that made back every dollar that they said that he lost over the last decade in crypto. Also, pointing out the importance of these bills, like we did on Monday, they resemble legislation, key legislation that was passed in the early 90s that paved the way for the internet. Boom. That's what makes this so important, ladies and gentlemen, is because once it passes, and I firmly believe it will, because this opposition is small. It's really small. And then on top of that, it's not truly based on anything solid with the exception of speculation. They're all mostly Democrats, some Republicans believe that Trump is going to use the crypto industry kind of like a sword and swing it anywhere he wants to. So they're responding out of fear without understanding higher level factors such as this. Citi and JP Morgan confirmed that they are leaning into stablecoins and tokenized deposits. I saw a short purchased by created by another creator in the XRP space. And he specifically mentioned that JP Morgan would never hold a stablecoin. And a few days later, look at Mr. Diamond here, Jamie Dimon, yeah. They're coming out and they're getting in the stablecoins. It was only a matter of time. We know the reason that they are doing that is coming from a much larger place. This article here, the Bank of England, stablecoins are no substitute for commercial bank money. This is the Governor of the Bank of England, Andrew Bailey. He gave a speech at the Mansion House that mentioned stablecoins. He feels that the key reason is that bank deposits enable banks to advance credit. In another recent speech, he urged banks to avoid using stablecoins with the same motivation. He added that our job will be to ensure that those stablecoins that purport the money are safe. So he's showing concerns. It's understandable. What I find to be interesting, though, is his tone changes when he's, writing to his peers in the Financial Stability Board, because Mr. Bailey is also a chairman of this board. This is the board that is orchestrating the G20 roadmap to reduce cross-border payments. In this letter that was published on the 14th of July, no less, he says a couple things. One, I remain committed as ever to upholding the FSB's mission, international coordination of effective regulatory, supervisory, and other financial sector policies in the interest of global financial stability. I look forward to working with FSB principal sponsors on these critical tasks. One of those critical tasks being assessing the increasing role of stablecoins for payment and settlement purposes. I am also keen that we give more focus to existing FSB initiatives. Our work on the G20 cross-border payments roadmap, a priority for the South African presidency, is one such area. In the time since the roadmap was created, the rationale for enhancing cross-border payments has become ever more evident. I don't need to get any deeper than that, ladies and gentlemen, because despite the pushback from the Democrats and some Republicans, Trump is tapped in with a much higher objective. And he's focused on that because wrapped up in the bills that will be voted on later today is market structure for digital assets. That's wrapped up into the clarity. And there's also the anti-CBDC Act, which raises another conversation. We'll leave that to the side. Our focus is the Clarity Act. The Clarity Act will create the environment that will foster the applications that reduce cross-border payments. Remember, that's the plan. We're fortunate enough to be investing in the networks and the software that just so happens to make this a reality. So despite the pushback, guys, I firmly believe these bills will pass. The rest of July will be the greenest July we've seen in years. Now, the natural question is obviously, is it too late to get into the market? Absolutely not. Remember, it was the Scientific and Advanced Technology Act of 1992 that kicked off the internet boom that didn't take place until the 1996, 95. There was a 3-year gap. We've been saying for years up to this point, we're still early. I don't think we can say that going forward. Once these bills pass, we're no longer early. Okay, we were early adopters. We are going to be in the swing of it, in the thick of it, as they say, once these bills get passed, ladies and gentlemen. So again, I'm excited. Let me check my phone really quick here, make sure we haven't had anything come through yet. So let's move on to our next story. Talking a little bit of Stellar Lumens. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of days ago, they announced that Stellar on and off ramps are now live on the Slash app. With Slash, your business, you can pay contractors and vendors in USDC, accept USDC from your customers, and enjoy automatic USD to USDC conversion. No exchange account required. So that swapping feature, that's going to run on Slash. But the connections to, it's got a notification, just double checking. Because once it comes out, it'll be all over the place, all right? Stellar's going to manage the USDC payment rails. Slash also partnered up with Solana to do the same thing. Now, when I saw this, I immediately remembered the PayFi ecosystem that Stellar and Solana support in collaboration with Huma Finance. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. This is the PayFi ecosystem map. Now, this update is very massive, but I'm going to add on top of it a particular theory I have involving PayPal and college sports. Yep, we're going back there again, guys, because the more I look into it, the stronger the connections get. And if it does manifest, just know you heard it here first. Let's look into this PayFi ecosystem really quick. You can see the transaction layer, just Solana and Stellar. So when I saw Slash particularly choose these two networks, I knew PayFi would be wrapped up in this somewhere. If that is the case, then that brings in stablecoin issuers such as PayPal, Circle, Agora, Tether, Mountain, RD. Is that Origin Trail? Interesting. Didn't know they were into payments. And then stablecoin infrastructures, of course, Bridge, Paxos. And then you look at payment infrastructure over here. We got Stripe. So the pieces are in place, right? So let's just kind of leave that as it stands right there. You can also see Visa under the cards. Let's take a look at Slash get an idea of what they're offering. And I also want to share with you how they get their FDIC backing. It is through a couple banks, and it's highlighted here on the website. Love that. Love the transparency. Slash is a fintech company, not a bank or a lender. The Slash Platinum card is issued by Column NA. Take note of that name. Pursuant to a license from Visa USA Inc., banking services provided by Column NA and Piermont Bank members FDIC. Well, they're also members of another particular payment entity. Also starts with the letter F, ladies and gentlemen. So now that ISO is official here in the United States, the FedNow payment system becomes very important. So I went back over to FedNow's main webpage to take a look at the service participants and service providers. And wouldn't you know it, ladies and gentlemen, Column National Association, based in San Francisco. And I believe they also mentioned that here somewhere down on the website. They're based in San Francisco, or it might be on their X account. But the point is, Column NA, as you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and strongly assume that this is Column National Association. So with this information, what we now have is Stellar integrated into a fintech software that is FDIC insured by a FedNow institution. Again, why do people keep wanting to knock XLM? I do not get it. I do not get it, ladies and gentlemen. But this is major. This is major. This is proof right here. This is proof. Another thing too, people also said FedNow won't include crypto. FedNow is not made for crypto. You're right. It's made for blockchain and DLT. And that's what we're seeing, guys. They also updated the certified service providers list back on May 19th. Interesting names on this roster as well. ACI Worldwide Corp, Alacrity, associated with Ripple in the past. Bank Social. Just seeing this live, ladies and gentlemen. Bank Social. That's on Hedera. Okay, now I have to dig into that. I was just going to highlight to you guys BNY Mellon. Okay, FIS, which also has worked with Hedera in the past. Juniper Payments. That isn't the same Juniper protocol on Solana. I dug into that one. Meticulous. Okay, that metal blockchain. That coin went nuts on the 14th. A little bit too late to get into Metallus. What? Temenos banking software has integrated both Stellar and Ripple in the past into their offerings. And then Volante Technologies. King Ripple partner, bringing in companies, introducing them to ISO 20022, exposing them to XRapid and all of Ripple's offerings. So now that it is officially here, we officially know the players. Stellar Lumens is tied all up in this, ladies and gentlemen. And you can see it here, Column National Association. Now I looked for Piermont as well. Didn't pop up as of yet. But the goal with these FedNow banks, ladies and gentlemen, is to get more people involved, to onboard more banks. I am truly tripping off of seeing Bank Social on that list because, at least on X, the narrative was Bank Social got off with the bag that they got from Hedera, and now they're building other things that's no longer related to Hedera. With that, now, like I said, now I got to dig into it. But let's wrap this particular segment here with a little bit of a theory, a little speculation. Big 12 revenue sharing model distribution deal with PayPal includes expanded financial partnership. I just want to go down to this one particular quote from the chief marketing officer, Jeff Seeley, for PayPal. He told CBS Sports about 50% of students at these schools are already on Venmo. Very true. Then these guys needed the support of a payment partner to enable NIL and revenue share. It's a marriage made in heaven. Literally millions of dollars moved from schools to athletes seamlessly at rapid speed, incredibly within hours of the announcement coming out. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. Let's unpack this. 50% of students at these schools, D1, D2 universities, okay? We're talking your U of M's, Michigan State, Ohio State, Texas, UCLA, Texas A&M, Florida. I'm not going to Alabama, Oklahoma. I'm not going to name them all, but those names should give you an idea of the top tier universities that they're referring to. 50% of these students already own Venmo. So here's my thing about Venmo, guys. The research is out there and it will show you. Venmo is not generally recommended for business transactions due to limited buyer-seller protection. Very interesting. It would also make sense why they decided to go with PayPal to help with this. He says, then these guys needed the support of a payment partner to enable NIL and rev share. So further emphasizing Venmo didn't have all the pieces that they needed. Something else I know about Venmo, they hate crypto. They can't stand any of us because they feel they've already done instant payments. Everything is instant. But the problem that this story highlighted was that when it comes to scaling and specific applications in the world of business, Venmo ain't got it all. So, leaning just off of that alone, there's a window here. Okay? What I'm getting at is this right here. And it's emphasized by Brett Yormack, Big 12 commissioner. He says you're changing behavior in the whole ecosystem right now. You're no longer working with vendors, but you really want partners in this new age of college athletics. So we had to educate our schools a little bit on what a partnership with PayPal and Venmo would look like. But they all got on board, and they understanding that dispersing money needs to be done with a partner that can deliver security and reliability. Okay. So granted, Venmo already had the existing market base with the fact that all of these college students were primarily using Venmo. I dig it. But as Brett says, you're no longer working with vendors. You really want partners in this new age of college athletics. This new age of college athletics, ladies and gentlemen, all the more reason why I want to break off into the world of sports this year. It's changing. You can honestly look at it as now student athletes, their talent, their abilities, their name, their recognition, their image and likeness is being tokenized. And when they begin to tokenize NIL, Venmo is not going to be enough. What would be? Stellar, Solana, and the rest of this PayFi ecosystem. Now, I'm not saying that this is all going to happen right away. But I watch enough college sports, I watch enough sports, and I have been in crypto long enough to see that when there's an opening, somebody's running through that hole and they're going to score. So with that, guys, coming up, we're going to dive into some more altcoin news. We're going to talk a little Flare and the Spark DEX. We're going to get into Immutable X and their trajectory since defeating the SEC and how the Clarity Act could potentially pave the way for the next era of blockchain games. I'll see y'all when we get back.
Hey guys, I got a quick message for you. Let's say you're looking to buy some crypto, like the ones mentioned in this video. Consider using our crypto exchange partner, Uphold. With Uphold, you get access to more than 200 crypto assets through its simple-to-use trading platform. Uphold has been around more than a decade, so it is a name you can trust. With over $2 billion in reserves and $44 billion in trading volume, I've yet to lose a trade on Uphold. To the more experienced investor out there, Uphold also has a line of precious metals and national currencies for more diversification. For me, I'm having fun using Uphold's Baskets tool. Uphold lets us set aside a certain amount of money to invest in different sectors of crypto. With one click, you can diversify into the big three, meme coins, or the financial assets like Hedera, Stellar, and XDC. But listen, crypto assets are very volatile, and it is always best to manage your risk and do your own research before using any platform. I recommend Uphold because before I was an affiliate, I was and still am a user. So if you use the link below, it helps support the channel. I want to thank you in advance.
Welcome back. Really quickly, I want to dive into this story here, reported from payments.com. That'd be one of the websites I'm going to mention at the end of this in the list of 20. But altcoin use growing as part of corporate strategies. Let me make you aware of this. So, according to a report from Seeking Alpha, companies are investing in high-profile altcoins such as Ethereum and Solana for diversification. Bit Digital recently completed its transition to an Ether treasury strategy, having accumulated more than 100,000 ETH, worth $300 million at the current price of 3,000. They believe Ethereum has the ability to rewrite the entire financial system, while ICP will self-write it. Anyway, furthermore, DeFi Development Corporation, which is listed on Robinhood, they're a public company that has been acquiring Solana en masse. They recently announced a convertible debt instrument that they will be using to acquire Solana. And then we have Bitmine Immersion Technologies recently announced $250 million in private placement, again for Ethereum. Now, outside of Solana and Ethereum, guys, we also know this is beginning to happen in some of the altcoins that we are very familiar with. Recently, last month, Trident Digital looks to, they announced, that they will create an XRP treasury up to $500 million. The reserve will be funded through stock issuance and other financial instruments. And recently, more recently than this, Vivo Power with the Flare network, I believe that was $200 million for institutional yield reserves, things like that. So if we go back over to the article from Payments, Leah Wald, CEO of Solana Strategies, kind of solidifies the reasoning behind the strategy by saying the move to altcoins isn't about abandoning Bitcoin. It's about diversification and positioning for the next era of on-chain utility and providing an alpha exposure vehicle for investors' portfolios. So the next era of this market is utility driven. And we know this because the players in the space, the language is changing now. They aren't talking about crypto. They're talking about blockchain. They're talking about DLT. They're talking about Bitcoin as a store of value, as a financial instrument that can be used globally, a critical macro asset and a store of value. We want to see this because when you really look at it, these financial instruments, these yield-bearing opportunities, stable coins even that are making their way to Bitcoin, this is utility. This is the utility era for Bitcoin. It is surely inspired. Let's give credit where it's due. It's surely inspired by the work that our DLTs and blockchain assets, the ones we have covered over the years, definitely inspired the wave of utility on Bitcoin. There's no arguing that. But what's more important is that the legacy companies that were pushing back against us for so many years, they can't get onto a network fast enough now. And especially with rules of the road now concrete. So I wanted to share this story just to make you aware of the changes in the market. A couple years back, we saw a lot of this taking place on Bitcoin. Strategy, several other companies, Bitcoin mining companies, coming in mass and buying boatloads of BTC and storing it in their treasuries. The companies that did this prior to 2023 are gold right now. They have made so much money. Because remember, in 2023, Bitcoin had got back down to about 40-ish, 50,000. Maybe even a little bit lower. 27, yeah, it was at 27,000 in 2023. October of 2023, Bitcoin's price was 27,000. Imagine how much money all those companies made, folks. Also look at it as a way for you to manage your portfolio. Take note of the strategy that these companies are using when they set up these treasuries and how they weight each altcoin in the treasury against Bitcoin. It's an excellent strategy. So I like to see that growing use of altcoins as part of corporate strategies. Now, let's talk about one of these particular altcoins in the form of the Flare network. The Spark DEX is making its way to the Flare network. They are currently doing a fundraising round as we speak, as a matter of fact. And I'm just checking again here because the voting I hear is supposed to take place at 12:30. It's about 12:11 here. But TrustSwap launched live on Flare, integrating with Spark DEX for IDOs. So when I said that Spark is getting ready to make history on the Flare network, this is the first official token DEX offering launch on the Flare network. This represents a trend of tokens that will be making their way to Flare. Spark DEX will be launching the Spark token on the Flare network. Now, I know a lot of the OGs in the space, they want to know if it is the same as what we speculated years ago. I had to really dig into the archives, guys, because I think you remember this system here. 2021, when Flare had begun to be wrapped up in the new financial system conversation, the ISO 20022 conversation, the Spark token was speculated to be the spark to ignite the FSX ecosystem as well as XRP DeFi. These things are still very much true. However, I don't believe that it will exactly run like this. Good news is I have been in contact with members of the team. They have been exchanging details with me very soon here. I'm going to have some answers, and you know I'm going to bring them back to you. So we'll save that for now and go back over to the press release here. This will be in collaboration with TrustSwap and Team Finance, top token management platform and leading launchpad in TrustSwap. Marks a new chapter for ecosystem builders on Flare who can raise capital, manage token logistics, and reach new communities through TrustSwap's suite of proven fundraising tools. TrustSwap has been in the space for years, guys. They're also connected with another DEX, very popular DEX, long-standing DEX in the form of QuickSwap. QuickSwap, TrustSwap, I first discovered them when I was messing around the Polygon ecosystem a couple years ago. But it's good to see that they are still sticking around and expanding their offerings to other altcoins. Now, let's get into a little bit more about TrustSwap. Launch smarter on Flare, battle-tested launchpad, track record of raising over 100 million for 100 plus projects. Absolutely true. I've watched a lot of those projects launch on Polygon, if I'm not mistaken, Ethereum world. Provides a trusted, compliant platform for token fundraising. Flare builders can now launch Flare native tokens with ease. So Flare is about to have its own token ecosystem. Gonna be very hard for it to stay at the price that it is now. So we got Team Finance, we got TrustSwap, we got the minds behind QuickSwap as well getting involved with this to create the first DEX offering, decentralized DEX offering on the Flare network. Spark DEX is the first. The Spark token will essentially be the first ICO to take place in Flare's DeFi ecosystem. So now Flare is taking the same route as Ethereum. It's taking the exact same route as Ethereum. So as I'm putting together my Elite 8 portfolio for this next cycle, Flare has definitely locked in its DeFi spot. Okay? Definitely locked in its DeFi spot. I want to also mention this. Additional support. Okay? Now, when I was talking to the guys at Spark, I don't know if they were fully aware of this, but the crypto app, as they say here, it is definitely one of the most popular crypto portfolio trackers and news hubs in Web3. I have used the crypto app for 5 years now. I discovered it in 2020. The interface has improved dramatically. They give you data, they give you news. You can manage your portfolio. You can tailor your news feed to only show you information about the asset you hold. It's a fascinating application. Definitely recommend a download. You can get it on Google Play Store or Apple Store. But what stands out to me is this particular bit here. Advertising and visibility options for Flare-based projects. A point I'm going to make definitely later on when we talk about the 20 news sources that I have for you. But what we're looking at here is advertising and visibility options for Flare-based projects. This means that as Flare continues to grow, they have a media partner that will disseminate this information directly to consumers. This is an angle. This is a very powerful angle because where you see this in other places, and Ripple is the best example here, and I'm not going to accuse them of doing this, but You Today covers XRP so much it makes no sense. But then I realized this crypto publication world is a pay-to-play game. And if you got the money to play, they're going to put you in. A few years ago, through some drama in relation to a company called the Digital Currency Group, we were exposed to the closed off network of publications that run this space. So that showed me that just like in the traditional business world, you need a media partner. A media partner. Without a media partner, nobody knows who you are. Up to this point, Flare didn't have that. And now they do. What this does, this added recognition, it educates future investors on what Flare is doing. The more investors, the more value. I don't need to say it, the higher that price is going to go. So I really like this, man. Comes with another company, Amplify here, which will be wrapped up in this as well. They'll have more details on Amplify a little bit later. But getting more to in the Spark DEX, their first IDO, the first initial launch of the Spark token. This will be a native Flare token. And it will launch via Trust Swap. It will be SPRK. And it will be the utility token for the Spark DEX. Now, I must let you know here, because 65% of my audience is US based. We can't participate in this coin offering, so don't even try. Don't touch it. But understand, if you hold Flare, this is what's being built in the background. Understand, Spark DEX will bring added liquidity to the Flare network. And it'll also play a crucial role in Flare's plans to bring XRP DeFi to the world. It'll be their main decentralized exchange. So players like Vivo Power could potentially use Spark DEX. Uphold may potentially integrate Spark DEX features. So even if you can't get your hands on the Spark token, if you get your hands on Flare, it's still a win-win, because a lot of that liquidity, a lot of that value is based on the Flare network. So very much so looking forward to talking with the guys at Spark a bit more. If you want to follow them, Spark DEX AI on X. You see, they followed your boy back. Sweet. But this article here just basically explains what we went into, the IDO launch, tokenomics, things like that. Here is a look at the Spark DEX dashboard as it stands today. 4.28 billion in total volume is insane. That is insane. 72, almost 73 million in total value locked. This is what DeFi on Flare looks like, ladies and gentlemen. And it reminds me a lot of Chronos, DeFi, and VVS Finance. VVS Finance is the top DeFi protocol for the entire Chronos network. They're moving numbers similar to this, and they've been around since 2020. Now, something else I want to show you here too. If you want to get involved with Flare DeFi, another thing that I love about the Spark DEX is that they've made it so easy, which is, again, what reminded me of my experience with VVS Finance on Chronos. It was super easy. If you were a Crypto.com user, you needed Crypto.com anyway. Why not take them extra CRO holdings, drop it into a liquidity pool on VVS Finance, and get 15, 25% back on your holdings? That was nice. That was very nice. But I'm bringing up this wallet section because simply what you would do in this case is connect your wallet. Wallet Connect, Trust Wallet, SafePal. You can see I have those installed. So shout out to y'all for going with SafePal. Not a lot of people go with SafePal. But you can also see MetaMask, OKX, Rabby, Brave Wallet. And then you go to all wallets and it really opens up. And I love to see these names. Binance Wallet, Crypto.com, 1inch, Phantom, Solana, Coinbase Wallet, Kepler, Decent Wallet. What network is Kepler on, guys? Somebody let me know down in the comments. Wingman, Para, Clever Wallet. Love Clever. Clever is another low-key hidden gem that is connected to the biggest players in the space. Serves the Brazilian market primarily. So, as BRICS development continues, keep an eye on Clever. And then we also have Flutter, which looks like Flutter Waves through Stellar. Not completely sure. But what you would do is you basically link your wallet to the platform. You can start and get involved with all of this good money here. Now, another thing too, let's take a look at their light paper. You guys know I like to dig into the mechanics of these assets. And my favorite thing to see in relation to Spark DEX is the specific components that they will use. They are going to leverage the Flare Time Series Oracle as well as the Flare Data Connector. These are the two most crucial pieces to the Flare network offering. The Time Series Oracle, that's essentially a more streamlined version of the technology that Chainlink offers by pulling in real-world data to be used in a blockchain environment. FTSO sets itself apart to where they're not only able to take in data from the real world, but they're able to take blockchain data and then combine the two, which improves functionality dramatically because you have a much larger database. The Flare Data Connector is the piece that pulls it all together. It's how they pull the data from external blockchains and the internet. So not only are you getting data from real world sources, but you can now pull it from the internet, which is the greatest source to have, right? So from a technical level, I like what Spark is doing. I like what Spark will bring to the Flare network. And like I said, this is definitely, Flare is now a straight up DeFi protocol, and we should have kind of known that with the angle that they were taking through smart contract functionality. Smart contracts, as it stands right now, their biggest use case is in the world of DeFi because they allow for programmable transactions. So that would explain that. Now, like I said, guys, if all things go well, coming up here real soon, gonna have a big surprise for you. Gonna have a big surprise. So let's cross our fingers on that one. Let's cross our fingers on that one, guys. Let's get into last bit of news here that I want to share with you in the world of gaming. All right. Now, this isn't a new update, but I love the article written in Juice Gaming News. Immutable's GameFi strategy takes shape after SEC victory. So back in March, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission ended its investigation into Immutable with no changes. They investigated to see if gaming tokens can be deemed securities. It was determined absolutely not. This gave them clearance, as they wrote here, in the US. Immutable's ability to shift towards GameFi at scale comes after a long-running SEC inquiry ended without changes in March. The announcement gave the company and the IMX token a measure of regulatory clarity in the United States, where enforcement uncertainty has slowed Web3 gaming platforms. So to translate that, ladies and gentlemen, this means that Immutable X is the only gaming project with regulatory clarity. Something about them X's, boy. It's the only gaming project with regulatory clarity in the United States. That's major. When you got other gaming chains, US-based gaming chains, because Immutable is based in Australia, you know. But US gaming chains like Gala, who just can't seem to get it together, they ain't nowhere near getting regulatory clarity for their GameFi. But IMX has it. So not only do you have a gaming play here in the United States, but IMX also exposes you to the overseas gaming market. I got a little bit of the article highlighted here. Marble X's 28,000 MBX airdrop and ongoing rewards for overnight players. Marble X is part of Netmarble. Netmarble is a major mobile game producer in the, I'll say Asian market, because at the moment I can't recall if it's Korean based or Japanese based. But I can tell you that Netmarble has a relationship with Sony to broaden their IPs, along with the IP that they already have invested in, Netmarble themselves. So they have the clarity, and they also have the reach overseas. And the GameFi ecosystem, they're mastering it, folks. They are the masters of the GameFi ecosystem. We're looking at Immutable Play right now. And if you're not into the gaming world, let me just let you know, we are in the era of cloud gaming. There are certain cloud gaming platforms like Steam, Epic Games, that are essentially the exchanges for the cloud gaming universe. Immutable Play has created their own version for Web3 games. A lot of them are games that run on Immutable or in collaboration with Immutable. But this will be the go-to dashboard in the future. I fully believe that. And what I also see is now Web3 games, they don't necessarily lead with the blockchain element first, because they learned that that's where you get most of the resistance from. What they're doing now is making the blockchain element optional. If you want to take that path within the game world to get the best advantage, the option is there. But what the focus has shifted to is particular IP, ladies and gentlemen. Because despite what people may mention, And this is a report from 2024. Gaming's $220 billion industry embraces Web3 as top tier companies making the leap. Ubisoft, Square Enix, Sega, rumors that Microsoft may get involved. Sony has patents related to Web3 technologies. Keep your eye on Theta Network if that's the case. But the legacy gaming players are still, or the gaming entities, players, so used to saying players when talking payments, but they're still here and they're still interested in what Web3 offers. Again, it's not necessarily creating your entire game on Web3. You can create your game on any platform you want it to be on. But if you want to give your players an added experience that they've never had before, you're adding Web3. Now, another very important element to watch out for, and I will preach this from the mountaintops, is the convergence between popular IPs, popular names in entertainment, your TV show franchises, your movie franchises, starting to come on chain. For example, here, Solo Leveling is coming to Netflix. This is a huge win for our Immutable's partner, Netmarble. Their game IP, Solo Leveling, will now be exposed to 300 million plus Netflix subscribers. So, this Solo Leveling, it's on Immutable. Netmarble published a game for Solo Leveling that incorporates Immutable X for their blockchain features. So what we're looking at here is now Solo Leveling, the franchise, the IP, the brand is about to get a heap ton of recognition. Word of mouth is the best way to promote your business, even in the age of the internet. Because what do people do? They see the show, they like the show, they want to be invested in it. They want to get invested into the characters. They want to get invested into the merchandise. They want to be a part of the events that come with it. In the age of Web3, blockchain has the potential to be that middle layer that connects them to all of these things. There was a phenomenon recently, I'm sure it still exists in role-playing games, where they take certain elements of the role-playing game into the real world. So I believe the title, I can't remember it right now, something related to Five Nights at Freddy's. But basically, there was one development in that game, one update, where you can go to a real life location, collect an item that you needed to progress in the game. Now, when they originally tried this, it caused some issues because some of the real world locations, the people who own those locations weren't necessarily ready. They weren't ready to receive that extra traffic. Implementing blockchain allows you to communicate effectively between everybody that will be involved in this particular live action role playing scenario. That's what they call it, LARP. Live action role playing scenario. So when we're talking gaming, the holy grail is the arrival of popular IPs from the world of entertainment coming on chain. And thanks to the legislation that we have to look forward to this week, ladies and gentlemen, we could see a wave of that very, very soon. Because as Robbie Ferguson, CEO, creator of Immutable, mentioned here, just make sure I'm checking for this act now. See, I got it on X on my phone and right up here. But he points out there's a 63% chance the Clarity Act gets passed, meaning there's a 63% chance we get a GTA 6 token. So there better be a 65% chance that token drops on Immutable. That's just me though. But in the Draft Act, certain video game tokens are exempted from being digital commodities, which was a major issue, something that we discussed years ago about if you want to create your own economy for the game, you're moving money around, that implies that you may be a security. However, the argument we made was you can't categorize a gaming token as a security because the profit you receive from the gaming token is not based on a monetary investment. It's based on a physical investment. You got to play the game. You got to put in hours. You got to put in work in order to get these tokens. So that removes the investing contract element that would have placed it under security status. This isn't an investment contract. You're working for this. You're working for it. So, as he ends this post with, almost nobody has realized this yet. We have. All the more reason why when it comes to the gaming assets in my Elite 8 portfolio, there'll only be two. One of them is immutable. Gaming and Web3. One is immutable and the other one is Chili's, because Immutable X is leading the gaming world by miles. The extension of that, and we see this with the moves that PayPal is making, is the gamification of the sports market. And Chili's is the one doing that. So, guys, I love to see that. Coming up, we're going to land the plane by sharing with you my 1920 crypto news outlets that I use every day. I want to share these with you so that way you are just as sharp in this crypto game as I am. Come on back.
Hey guys, I got a quick message for you. Let's say you're looking to buy some crypto, like the ones mentioned in this video. Consider using our crypto exchange partner, Uphold. With Uphold, you get access to more than 200 crypto assets through its simple-to-use trading platform. Uphold has been around more than a decade, so it is a name you can trust. With over $2 billion in reserves and $44 billion in trading volume, I've yet to lose a trade on Uphold. To the more experienced investor out there, Uphold also has a line of precious metals and national currencies for more diversification. For me, I'm having fun using Uphold's baskets tool. Uphold lets us set aside a certain amount of money to invest in different sectors of crypto. With one click, you can diversify into the big three, meme coins, or the financial assets like Hedera, Stellar, and XTC. But listen, crypto assets are very volatile, and it is always best to manage your risk and do your own research before using any platform. I recommend Uphold because before I was an affiliate, I was and still am a user. So if you use the link below, it helps support the channel. I want to thank you in advance.
Jam-packed show today. I told y'all I had a lot to share. So let's dive into this news list. Don't want to add too much more time, guys. Let's make this quick here. But these are 20 crypto news outlets. These are the 20 that I go to on a regular basis. It took me years to come up with these, with this list, mainly because you have to fish through a lot of publications. And then when AI hit the scene, it made it even worse. So this morning, last night, I was really able to compile a list, a definitive list that provides the best overview of the crypto space. It's going to start with the big one, the main, CoinDesk. CoinDesk, one of the oldest publications here in the crypto space. When it comes to, let's say, institutional adoption, CoinDesk is a good source. They cover Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, government things like that. More recently, they have started to include altcoins like Solana, Stellar, XRP, Hedera. So they're good for that. Really, you can look at CoinDesk as the New York Times for crypto. Okay, and I know whoever owned CoinDesk, if you're watching this, yeah, kudos to you. You did it. But your rival here, okay? And to be quite honest, I think the same person probably owns both CoinDesk as well as this next publication here, Cointelegraph. We can get it to upload properly. That's because of the ads that run. But basically, we'll just skip over that. CoinDesk, Cointelegraph, those are the first two. Followed by Ledger Insights. Ledger Insights is we're having some trouble here, so let's just go back to the list. Ledger Insights, though, is where I go to track the enterprise adoption, banks, governments, things like that for sure, that are interested in blockchain technologies and distributed ledgers. If you want to know what's going on in the CBDC world, Ledger Insights is where to go. If you want to find out which governments are planning certain blockchain initiatives, Ledger Insights is the place to go. Then you also have, see if we're getting this to work now. There we go. Decrypt. Decrypt, pretty good source. They're similar to CoinDesk, Cointelegraph in the sense, they give you a very wide overview. What sets them apart, though, is the assets that they cover. They cover a lot more of the top 100 market cap cryptos. As you can see, they got Doge there. They talk about memes. They talk about NFTs. And they also have their own gaming section, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a moment. But I like Decrypt because when the metaverse thing really popped off, Decrypt was my number one source because they seem to have been all over it. So I like Decrypt for their alternative perspective to the space as well as the gaming. Now we also have another publication here, the Daily Hodl. Daily Hodl, I would say this one is great for the casual crypto investor because they don't really focus on networks specifically, more so broad reactions to the networks. You'll find a lot of opinion pieces here, maybe even a bit of research. So I would definitely categorize the Daily Hodl as a casual read for crypto. The same with Crypto News, another casual read here. They also have an academy that teaches you certain fundamentals of crypto, definitions, things like that. Crypto News, you see Cardano is listed. So another pattern you'll notice in the crypto space is certain publications will cover certain networks. And like I mentioned earlier, this is a pay for play game. So despite the ethos of decentralization that we all like to live under, they playing the same games as traditional media here. Okay. So we are getting into the section of the list where we have publications that cover even more altcoins that are deeper down that list of top 100. Another one, this one is one of my favorites. As a matter of fact, the next three are the publications that I use to branch off of CoinDesk and Cointelegraph. You got Crypto Potato, everything hot in crypto. They cover memes, they cover Bitcoin, they cover stocks, they cover trading, they cover the government stuff, they cover NFTs, meme coins, video games. Crypto Potato don't be playing. I would compare it to the USA Today, if you will, for the crypto space. But then you also have Crypto Briefing, which runs in that same vein as well. So this one, its interface looks a lot more like USA Today, in my humble opinion. But Crypto Briefing, guys, this one includes market outlooks, education, little bit of research. Wow, BitBoy Armstrong faces 6 charges for harassing phone calls. July 10th. So he's out. Live. Anyway, crypto briefing. That's another great one. Crypto slate. Let's put crypto slate very high on the list because of all of the extras you see down here on the left, ladies and gentlemen. They break it down to you in a lovely fashion. They have podcasts, they have a directory, they have coins sorted by sector. You get data on the sectors. Crypto slate. Man, this one. If I had to pick a favorite, it would be crypto slate because of this particular section right here. Their section on coins. They have their own version of a coin telegraph or a coin market cap or coin gecko, right? And then they do the breakdown: centralized exchanges, computing, DeFi with AI, regular DeFi, dApps, DPens, gaming, governance, identity. I already subscribed. Stablecoin, smart contracts. So this is what would place crypto slate higher on the list when it comes to publications you need to use. BN Crypto. BN Crypto is an extension. This is an extension arm of what I am discovering is a much larger media conglomerate in the form of BN. BN is in sports. BN is in politics. I can't quite trace the origin country, but yeah, just checking again. The vote started at 12:30. I'm sure as we're going through this, it'll pop up, right? And then we have Blockworks, guys, another institutional, U.S. based, definitely U.S. based corporate sort of publication. So stories about the ETFs and inflows into the space, tokenization for sure. A lot of that over here. You'll also get with Blockworks perspectives from the individuals, chairmans and presidents, board members, C-suite executives. The list goes on. That's what Blockworks, and this one, the block.co, that's what they're pretty good at. They're getting behind the scenes. That's why I keep them around, keep them on the list, because the block gives the human perspective, if that makes sense. Now, these last few here, these are what I like to call the alternative publications, the fringe publications. The Defiant is a primarily Bitcoin, Ethereum, top 5, top 10 market cap sort of publication. A lot of opinion pieces. You can see they also have a podcast. They do a lot of market analysis, things like that. They remind me of another publication that I didn't add on here, AMB Crypto. The reason I didn't add AMB is because AMB is a trader's publication. A lot of their news and insights are geared at traders. You guys know I'm not much of a trader. The Defiant is a blend of both, because the Defiant also focuses on the decentralized world. So decentralized exchanges, IDOs, memes, launch pads, everything happening in the decentralized exchange world, you'll find on the Defiant. So that gives the Defiant a particular advantage in and of itself. Then we have CoinGape, which honestly, CoinGape is like crypto news, crypto briefing, and crypto slate combined into one. So, they'll oftentimes, you'll get an added perspective if you see articles ran in crypto slate, briefing potato. You'll get an added perspective from CoinGape. So I like them on here. And in Juice Gaming News, this one is a fairly newer one. It's hard to find blockchain game-based publications, but Juice is proving to be my go-to. So you can see they got videos, guides, interviews, reviews. Juice Gaming and Decrypt GG. Let me give you guys some comps here. GG, your IGN. Juice, your Game Informer. And y'all know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. Okay, if you know, you know. So when it comes to the blockchain gaming space, Juice Gaming and Decrypt GG are where I'm going. Now, these last two here, extras when it comes to the payment side. So I like PYMNTS because they cover it from the Web 2 side. Payment companies, traditional financial players that are trying to enter into Web3, blockchain, and DLT, it's often reported on with payments.com. The same goes for this publication here, Finextra. When it came to researching ISO, bam, you can see it right there. This was my go-to platform. And take a look at their library. 20,000 expert posts, 40,000 community members, over 200 webinars, over 290 research reports, over 3,000 videos, and over 40,000 stories. Between those publications, guys, let's go back over here so you can see the list. These are the 20 publications that keep me refreshed on the crypto space on a regular basis. And now I'm sharing it with you so that way you guys are able to wield a sword just as sharp as mine when it comes to crypto. So with that, guys, let's check really quickly to see if anything has happened on the voting front when it comes to these bills. I am seeing nothing as of yet. But the moment it does happen, guys, expect the markets to rip. Another great follow is Eleanor Tourette. Forgive me if I mispronounced that. Or Tourette. She is very, like, she's positioned herself right next to the White House, basically. So I'm waiting for her to drop us an update. But as it stands right now, let's see. Yeah, as it stands right now, nothing has been decided. Most of what's being talked about is Jerome Powell and whether or not he's going to resign. So be on the lookout in the community tab on X. I'm definitely going to be sharing updates, and our show on Friday will surely go over what the ramifications will be now that we are in the new era of the blockchain space. Now, don't forget, guys, if you want to support the channel, again, head on over to bio.site/DHNCrypto. Pick you up some educational materials. So that way, when you talk blockchain at the dinner table, upcoming holiday season, can't nobody knock you anymore because you got the facts. So with that, again, thank you for watching the show. If you made it this far, drop DHN in the comments for me, and y'all know what time it is. If that money is digital, so is the hustle.